So things got so bad for Ringo in the early 80s that he couldn't even get his then new album 1983's Old Wave released in America or England, and had to have it released in several other countries, but not over here or over there. And didn't chart and didn't really sell very well, which is a shame because it's a really good album, which I just did a review of earlier today if you're interested. And with that, Ringo pretty much ducked out of the rest of the 80s as far as making new music. He did attempt some sessions in the late 80s, but they're unreleased. And so it was all the way almost a decade, 9 years later, before he came back with his next album, Time Takes Time, which is came out on May 22nd of 1992. Put a lot of promotion into this, put a lot of work into it, appeared on a bunch of shows, made a video for one or two of the songs. And the other thing that had happened in between now and then was that Ringo started his tour. As Ringo's All-Star Band started touring in 1989, which I went and saw that show, which was a lot of fun. Unfortunately, that's the only time I've seen him. He's been around since then in these parts, and I should have gone to see him more, and hoping he'll come back again. I'm sure he will. I do need to see that again. But and that was fun because I was always hoping that Paul would tour eventually, which he did start touring again in '89. Of course, John was no longer around at that point, sadly, and never really thought George would tour. I hoped he would, but he's just that didn't seem like his thing. So I know he did that little tour of Japan in early 90s, but it didn't seem likely that he would ever do another American tour, and sadly he didn't. But you never thought Ringo would do a solo tour. You thought he might join, if one of the others toured, join in with them. But so that was fun that he did that, and he's hadn't stopped since. So it's kind of funny that Paul and Ringo are the two who toured the most out of the four, and John never really did, aside from shows here and there. But anyway, all this promotion and all this work, and unfortunately the album didn't chart, which is a shame. But the album came out on vinyl. As far as I know, I don't think it came out in America or England on vinyl. It came out in Mexico, Brazil, Spain, and Germany. Here's my vinyl copy, is the German pressing. So this did later come out 3 or 4 years ago. This came out on vinyl in America as a reissue. I believe it's on blue vinyl. Bad Boy came out, and I think this came out on reissues. So you can track it down pretty easily on vinyl. I don't know, the originals are probably worth a little bit, not a whole lot. I don't think they're that hard to find, but there's the cover. There's Ringo in the center there, and he's surrounded by animals playing instruments. You've got sorry about that. You've got an owl playing drums, a elephant saxophone, a mouse, I guess that is, playing guitar, and a dragon playing piano. So kind of a oddly psychedelic cover, sort of strange. There's the back cover, which has got a good couple of good pictures of Ringo and the song listing, the track listing. And you got the inner sleeve, which has your lyrics and credits, and same lyrics on the other side, and a nice picture of Ringo there on the side of the sleeve. And here's your album. Like I said, this is the German pressing. Labels the same on both sides. And when I bought this several years ago, I don't know if this came with the album or not, or if this is just something that the seller included, but there's an album cover slick, which is nice, and then this nice picture of Ringo on the back side of the slick. There's the bag that it came in. So well received critically album. Rolling Stone called it his best album since the Ringo album. Of course, that's Rolling Stone, and it's a crap magazine for decades now, so it doesn't really mean much. And Rolling Stone, anytime a new Rolling Stones album comes out, they always say it's their best since Exile on Main Street, because they're not a very creative magazine over there. But others Critical reviews were also favorable. Didn't help much with sales, like I said, unfortunately. But it's and it's a shame because it's a pretty solid uh, album. It's a little uneven. It's got some highs and lows, but there's nothing truly embarrassing on here. And again, just like on the Old Wave album, the kind of kookiness and silliness and peace and love, which wasn't really a thing yet, but the goofiness is kept down to a minimum, and it's really not even present on this album, so that's a plus. But let's just get into side one. Starts with the song called "The Weight of the World," which is the lead single from the album, which didn't do much of anything either, unfortunately. This is written by Brian O'Doherty and Fred Velez. Not sure who they are. It's a pretty good opening track. It's a sing-songy sort of song. It's got good vocals by Ringo. It's kind of give yourself a break and don't carry the weight of the world on your shoulders. Kind of harkens back to Hey Jude, lyrically at least, in that way, respect. It's a nice solid song that's, I guess I like it, but it doesn't knock my socks off. I'll give it a 6 for Weight of the World, and not a bad opener. The second song is Don't Know a Thing About Love. This is another breezy song with hand claps and mid-80s sounding song, kind of mid to late 80s, top 40 sounding thing. Written by Robert Feldman and Stan Lynch. Stan Lynch was in Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers. And sounds like it's Jeff Lynne produced. This album has 3 producers, Jeff Lynne and Don Was and Peter Asher and Phil Ramone. So sorry, it's got 4 producers. It's okay. It's another No Great Shake song, but not a bad song, but just okay. I'm going to give that a 5. Third song on side one, Don't Go Where the Road Don't Go. Ringo wrote this with someone named Johnny Warman, who apparently had a hit single with a song called Screaming Jets in 1981. I don't remember that song. Maybe that was a hit over in England, because I don't remember it over here. And a guy named Gary Granger, who has worked with Rod Stewart and others in the past. Not really familiar with him anyway. It's not, again, not great, but it's a nice little driving rocker, and it's a little better than Don't Know a Thing About Love. I like it all right. I'm gonna give it a 7.5. And Ringo's again, like on the Old Wave album, even though it's 9 years separated, he's in really good voice all throughout this album too. So credit for that. And we turn the page here in my notes. The fourth song on side one is called Golden Blunders. I guess that's supposed to sort of Golden Slumbers by the Beatles, but it's Golden Blunders instead. This is by the Posies, one of those crap 90s bands. Anyone that watches my videos knows how I feel about 90s music. It's got an okay guitar solo. Ringo, good vocals again, like I said, throughout the album. Just has that kind of crap 90s band sound to my ears. It reminds me of that horrible song that, remember when we were eating at breakfast at Tiffany's, or whatever that thing was called, that they played a billion times back in the 90s. It was a hit somehow. I have no idea why, because it's crap. This song's a little better than that, maybe, but it's not very good. I'm going to give it a 3 for Golden Blunders. Fifth song is All in the Name of Love. This is written by Jerry Lynn Williams, who wrote a bunch of those really boring songs for Eric Clapton in the 80s. Forever Man is probably the best known of those. And it's got a really bad 80s power ballad guitar solo in it. Ringo sings it well enough, but it's just a snoozer of a song. I'm going to give that a 2. That's the low point of the album. It's just as boring as any of those 80s Clapton songs. You know, when that Forever Man song came out, originally I thought he was saying, try to be my bald-headed woman, I'll be your bald-headed man. Then I figured out that he was saying, try to be my forever woman, I'll be your forever man. It's kind of funny. It didn't really matter because the song sucks either way, but, and All in the Name of Love is not much better. So side one is pretty uneven. You know, there's a couple of good things there. You got Don't Go Where the Road Don't Go and Weight of the World, probably the highlights of side one. Side two is a little bit better, so let's go there. First song on side two is After All These Years. Ringo and the Warman guy again wrote it. It's kind of the joys of touring and playing live type celebration song. Got a nice rockabilly guitar bit, some really good drumming. Ringo does a good job of drumming throughout this, and I don't know if there's anyone else that does percussion and drumming on this album, but I think Ringo does the bulk of it, and he does a good job. Hardly a massive song or anything, but it's just catchy and it's fun, and it's good enough to get a 7 from me. Second song is called I Don't Believe in You. This is another one of those crap 90s bands, Jellyfish. A couple of guys from that wrote it for him. This is one that Golden Blunders by the Posies, they had actually done that on a Posies album a couple of years before, and then Ringo covered it in 92. But this Jellyfish bunch wrote I Don't Believe in You for Ringo, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. And it's typical, sometimes when those 90s bands would try to make a song that sounded like a 60s song. In spite of that, I do halfway like it and halfway don't like it. Sometimes it sounds pretty good. It sounds kind of like a Ruddles outtake, which is fun. Sometimes it doesn't sound so good. It sounds like that theme song from that crappy old show Friends at times, which is not a good thing. I give it a 6. I was going to split the difference at a 5, but when it sounds good, it's pretty good, and when it sounds not good, it's not horrible, just annoying slightly. So we'll give it a 6. Good drumming on that. Like I've already said, good drumming throughout. Third song on a side 2 is Starr and the Warman guy again. It's called Runaways. Nice 80s sounding song. The lyrics paint a good picture, so good lyrically. Just a little nice middle images, even though it's a downbeat subject. It's about runaway kids, but Ringo sings in a slightly different voice from what he usually uses, and it fits him and it fits the song. It's a good song, Runaways. Nice 80s sound. I'm going to give Runaways an 8. Fourth song is called In a Heartbeat. This is written by someone named Diane Warren, who is I guess she's British, I don't know, but she's a songwriter from the early 80s to now, and she's written songs from everyone from Laura Branigan to Cher, Whitney Houston, Belinda Carlisle, Elton John, Tina Turner, Beyonce, some really crap people too, like Christina Aguilera and Britney Spears, and just kind of everybody and anybody. This has Doug Fieger of the Knack and Brian Wilson of the Beach Boys, of course, singing background vocals on it. A very 80s sounding song again. This is something that I could have seen Belinda Carlisle doing in her solo years, which maybe would have fit someone like that better, or Tina Turner or something even, maybe. But Ringo does okay with it, and it's an okay song. I'm going to give it a 6.5. The fifth song is called What Goes Around. This is written by someone named Rick Suchow, I guess is how you say that name. I don't know anything about him. Great vocals, great backing vocals. It's just kind of a great rock pop song, and actually the album's best song on here. One of Ringo's best vocals of, well, all time, really, in my opinion. It's a great album ender, and I think this is one of his best solo songs, or up there with his cream of the crop best solo songs. I think it stacks up really well with his Beatles songs, to be honest with you. So I really like it. I'm going to give it a 10. I was thinking 9, but I'm going to go 10 because I really like this song, and this is a great Ringo gem that most people don't know. Um, Another one that I talked about earlier on Ringo the Fourth was the Just a Dream, which was a B-side. Wasn't on the album, was on the B-side of the Wings single from Ringo the Fourth, which is a really good song too. Totally different songs, both of them, but yeah, this is a good one. Nice little gem. It gets a 10. I wish this would have been the single from the album. Even though in 1992, I'm not sure that the radio was going to play anything by Ringo, no matter how good it was. But it's kind of a shame that this didn't get fitted into a TV show or a movie where it would have got some notice and people would have said, "Hey, what's that song? That's Ringo, man! Wow!" Kind of living on a thin line. Great Kinks song from one of their albums that didn't get much notice when it came out in 1985, but then 10 years, whatever, later, it was used for the closing credits of an episode of The Sopranos. It got a lot, pretty good amount of notice out of that. So it's a shame that this didn't get noticed because I think it's one of the great Ringo songs, and I think it stacks up with any of his hits from the Ringo album, Don't Come Easy and so forth. That one gets a 10. So like I said, not a bad, pretty solid album. Kind of a comeback because he'd been away for 9 years. Uneven, but nothing really cringeworthy. The guy that wrote the Clapton song is the low point, and it's not the worst song in the world. It's just not very good or any good really. But so 6.7 overall, and then it would be what this is 92. It would be 6 years. Another big gap until we get another Ringo album. That's Vertical Man. So that's the one I'll be doing next. Probably not tonight because I'm going to watch a movie or something. Hope you all have a good weekend. Hope all the dads out there have a good Father's Day. And peace and love, everybody. We'll see you later.